The year was 2847. Humans had spread across the stars. They lived on 300 different worlds now. Some worlds were hot. Some were cold. Some had two suns in the sky. But none of them were as beautiful as Kepler-442b. The people who lived there called it New Bizin. It was a good name for a good place. The sky was amber-colored, like honey held up to the light. The air smelled sweet, like flowers after rain. 12,000 people called this world their home. They were simple people. Farmers grew food in the rich, dark soil. Scientists studied the plants and animals that lived there. Teachers taught children in small schools made of white stone. Doctors healed the sick. Mothers and fathers raised their families. It was a peaceful place. A quiet place. A place where people smiled at strangers and left their doors unlocked at night. Park. Yuna was 7 years old. She had black hair that her mother tied into 2 braids every morning. She had big brown eyes that looked at everything with wonder. She was missing her 2 front teeth, and she smiled anyway because she did not care what anyone thought. Her father was Park Do-hyun. He was an agricultural engineer. That meant he helped farmers grow better crops. He was a tall man with gentle hands and a soft voice. He loved his daughter more than anything in the universe. Her mother was Kim Yoonji. She was a doctor. She healed people and made them feel better. She was kind and smart and worked very hard. Right now she was not on New Bizin. She was on a ship, traveling to another colony to help sick people there. She would be gone for 2 weeks. Yuna missed her mother. But she was happy too. She spent her days running through the golden fields with her friends. She chased the silver-winged moths that lived on this world. They were beautiful creatures with wings that sparkled like stars. Yuna loved them. At night, her father would sit with her on the porch. They would look up at the amber sky and watch the stars come out. Yuna would point at them and ask questions. "Father, what is out there?" "Other worlds," Do-hyun would say. "Other people. Other children, just like you. Are they nice?" "I hope so. I want to meet them someday. I want to fly a big ship and visit every star." Do-hyun would smile and hold his daughter close. "You will, little one. You will see things I cannot even dream of." Yuna was drawing a picture. She drew it with crayons on white paper. It was a picture of a starship. A big one with wings and engines and lights. She drew herself standing next to it, waving. She wrote her name at the bottom in her best handwriting. Yuna, age 7. "This is my ship," she told her father. "When I grow up, I will fly it everywhere." "It is beautiful," Do-hyun said. "You will be a great captain." Far away, in a dark part of space, others were watching. They were called the Velith Consortium. 4 different alien species had joined together to form this group. They had ruled this part of the galaxy for 10,000 years. They were proud. They were powerful. They did not like humans. Humans bred too fast, they said. Humans spread too quickly. Humans did not show proper respect to the elder races. Humans were dangerous. Something had to be done. The Consortium Council met in a great dark hall. They talked for many hours. They argued. They shouted. Finally, they voted. The vote was not for peace. The vote was not for talking. The vote was for war. But not a big war. Just a small one. Just enough to teach humans their place. They chose New Bizin. They chose it because it was peaceful. They chose it because it had no weapons. They chose it because it was soft and weak and easy to kill. They wanted to send a message. They wanted humans to be afraid. Overseer Threll commanded the attack fleet. He was cold and cruel. He did not see humans as people. He saw them as pests, insects to be stepped on. He felt nothing as he gave the orders. The warships came out of nowhere. One moment, the sky was empty. The next moment, it was full of death. Colony Administrator Beek Junsu saw them first. He was an old man with white hair and tired eyes. He had worked his whole life for peace. He sent a message to the ships. "Please," he said, "we are not soldiers. We are farmers and teachers and children. Please, let us talk." Overseer Thrall did not answer. He did not care about farmers. He did not care about teachers. He did not care about children. The bombardment began. Fire fell from the sky. Buildings exploded. The ground shook. People screamed and ran, but there was nowhere to go. The beautiful white stone schools turned to rubble. The golden fields burned black. The sweet air filled with smoke and ash. Park Doyen grabbed his daughter and ran. He held her tight against his chest. He could feel her heart beating fast like a scared little bird. He tried to find shelter. He tried to protect her. He covered her body with his own. The attack lasted 17 minutes. When it ended, New Bizen was gone. 12,000 people were dead. The amber sky was gray with ash. The silver-winged moths were gone. Everything was gone. 3 days later, a rescue drone found them. Do-yoon was dead. He had died trying to shield his daughter from the fire. In his hand, he still held Yuna's drawing. The picture of her starship. The picture of her dream. The little girl who wanted to fly among the stars would never grow up now. She would never meet the aliens she hoped would be kind. She would never be a captain, but her drawing survived. And that drawing would change everything. The news traveled at the speed of light. It crossed the empty space between stars. It reached Earth 3 days after the attack. At first, only a few people knew what had happened. The government wanted to keep it quiet. They wanted to handle things slowly and carefully. They wanted to talk to the aliens through proper channels. They failed. Han Selman was 26 years old. She worked in a small office in Seoul. Her job was to sort through communications from the outer colonies. It was boring work most days. She read messages about crop yields and weather reports and supply requests. Nothing exciting ever happened. Then she saw the footage from the rescue drone. She watched New Bizen burn. She watched the buildings fall. She watched the bodies lying in the streets. She watched the rescue team find a dead man holding a child's drawing in his hand. She watched them realize the child was underneath him, dead, burned, gone. Someone sat at her desk and cried. She cried for a long time. Then she stopped crying and started thinking. The government wanted to keep this secret. They wanted to protect people from the truth. But Soman knew that was wrong. People needed to see this. People needed to know what had happened. People needed to understand. She made a choice. It was against the rules. It could cost her job. It could put her in prison. She did not care. She sent the footage to every news network in human space. Every planet. Every colony. Every station. Everyone. Within 1 hour. Every human in the galaxy knew about New Bizen. They saw the fire falling from the sky. They saw the peaceful colony turn to ash. They saw Yuna's drawing. They saw her name written in crayon. Yuna, age 7. Something changed that day. Something deep inside the human species woke up. People stopped fighting with each other. Old enemies shook hands. Old arguments were forgotten. It did not matter if you were rich or poor. It did not matter what country your ancestors came from. It did not matter what god you prayed to or what politics you believed in. None of that mattered anymore. Only one thing mattered now. They killed our children. On Earth, the great corporations had been rivals for centuries. They competed for money and power and control. They fought each other with lawyers and spies and dirty tricks. But now their leaders met in secret rooms. They opened their vaults. They shared their weapons. They gave everything they had. On Mars, the colonies had always wanted to be left alone. They did not trust Earth. They did not want to fight Earth's wars. For 200 years, they had voted against joining the United Human Fleet. Now they voted again. The vote was unanimous. Every single person said yes. They would fight. On Titan, there were communities of pacifists. People who believed that violence was always wrong. They had rejected weapons for generations. Their children had never seen a gun. But now those same people walked into factories. They began building warships. When asked why, an old woman said simply, "They killed children." There is no peace with those who kill children. Admiral Choi Minho received a call on a quiet Tuesday morning. He was 63 years old. His hair was gray. His face was lined with age. He had spent his whole career trying to prevent wars. He was good at it. He had saved millions of lives through careful talking and patient diplomacy. Now he was being asked to do something different. The United Earth Council met in a great hall in Geneva. 200 representatives from every human world sat in rows of seats. At the front stood Council Speaker Yoon Ha-yoon. She was a small woman with sharp eyes. She did not waste time with long speeches. "Admiral Choi," she said, "you have seen the footage from New Bizen." "I have." "You know what the Velith did." "I do." On the wall behind her, a picture appeared. It was Yuna's drawing. The starship she would never fly. The dream she would never live. Ha-yoon looked at the old admiral. Her voice was cold and hard like steel. "Can you end them?" The room was silent. Every eye watched Choi Minho. He was a man of peace. He had never wanted war. He had spent his life believing that talking was better than fighting. But he looked at that drawing. He thought about the little girl who made it. He thought about her father dying to protect her. He thought about her mother who would come home to nothing but ashes. Something changed in his eyes. Something old and tired became something new and terrible. "Give me the fleet," he said. "Give me every ship we have, and I will make them remember the name of every child they killed." The council did not argue. They did not debate. They did not ask questions. They voted yes. Every single one of them. For the first time in human history, the species went to war as one. Not as countries or corporations or colonies. As humanity, united. Together. The message went out to every corner of human space. It was simple and clear. Come. Bring your ships. Bring your anger. Bring your grief. We are going to war. And humanity answered. From every world, from every station, from every place where humans lived and breathed and remembered their dead, the answer came back. "We are coming." Kim Yoon-ji heard the news while she was in space. She was on a medical ship, flying back home. Flying back to a home that no longer existed. Flying back to a husband and daughter who were gone. She did not scream. She did not cry. She just sat in her seat and stared at the wall. A nurse asked if she was okay. She did not answer. Somewhere deep inside her, a small flame began to burn. It was not hope. It was not healing. It was something darker. Something colder. It was the knowledge that someone would pay for what they had done, and the whole galaxy would watch. The Velith Consortium was not worried. They had planned everything carefully. They knew humans would be angry. They knew humans would fight back. This was expected. This was part of the plan. Their analysts were very smart. They had studied humans for many years. They had counted human ships. They had measured human weapons. They had calculated human strength. 200 ships, they said. Maybe 250 if humans pulled forces from their borders. It would be a hard fight, but the consortium would win. They always won. They had ruled this part of space for 10,000 years. No young species had ever defeated them. Overseer Threll received the reports and smiled. 200 ships against 800. The humans would lose. They would learn their place. Everything was going according to plan. He was wrong. Lieutenant Kang Ji-woo worked on the flagship Indomitable. She was 31 years old. Her job was to count things: ships, weapons, supplies, soldiers. She was very good at her job. Numbers never lied to her. Now she was counting the human fleet. Ships had been arriving for days. They came from everywhere, every direction, every corner of human space. She counted them as they came. Military destroyers came first. Big gray ships with heavy guns. These were expected. These were the official Navy. Then came the others. Cargo ships arrived with weapons bolted to their hulls. Mining vessels came with railguns where their drills used to be. Private yachts showed up with missile launchers strapped to their sides. Research ships came armed with experimental weapons that had never been tested in battle. Old ships came out of retirement. Ships that had been sitting in junkyards were repaired and armed. Ships that everyone thought were destroyed appeared out of nowhere. Ships that existed only in secret files came out of hiding. Ji-woo counted them all. She checked her numbers. She checked again. She did not believe what she was seeing. She went to find Admiral Choi. He was on the bridge, standing with his second-in-command, Captain Shin Tai-woo. They were looking at star maps and making plans. "Sir," Ji-woo said, "the final count is in." "How many?" asked the Admiral. 9,412 combat-ready ships. Another 6,000 support craft. Tai-woo turned around. His face was pale. "That is impossible. We do not have that many ships. We never had that many ships." Ji-woo shook her head. "We did not know we had that many ships. People built them in secret. They hid them. They kept them for emergencies. Now they are bringing them all." Admiral Choi looked at the numbers. He was quiet for a long moment. Then he nodded slowly. "It seems," he said, "that humans have been preparing for this day longer than anyone knew." The fleet gathered at the edge of consortium space. 15,000 ships floating in the darkness between stars. It was the largest fleet in human history. It was the largest fleet anyone had ever seen. Admiral Choi stood on the bridge of the Indomitable and looked at his forces. He saw destroyers and cruisers and battleships. He saw converted freighters and armed transports. He saw ships held together with tape and hope. He saw old veterans and young volunteers. He saw humans from every world, every culture, every background. All of them angry. All of them ready. All of them remembering new BUSAN. He opened a channel. His voice went out to every ship in the fleet. To every human in the Armada. "Today we go to war," he said. "Not for land. Not for money. Not for power. We go to war because they killed our children. They thought we were weak because we were kind. They thought we were soft because we chose peace. They were wrong." He paused. In his hand, he held a copy of Yuna's drawing. A starship and a little girl waving. "They will learn what we are. They will learn what happens when you hurt our families. They will learn to fear the darkness between stars, because that is where we will be waiting." Far away, on a Velith listening post, a young officer intercepted the transmission. He decoded it. He read it. His hands began to shake. He sent it to his superiors. They sent it to their superiors. Within hours, it reached Overseer Thro. Thro read the message. He looked at the fleet counts. 9,000 ships. 9,000. He had expected 200. For the first time, he felt something cold in his chest. Something he had never felt before. Fear. He ordered his analysts to check again. They checked. The numbers were real. The humans were coming. All of them. The other consortium members began to panic. The Morthic sent urgent messages asking what to do. The Kitharans demanded answers. The Daloth wanted to run. Thrall told them to hold. He told them to stay strong. He told them that humans were still weak, still soft, still young. But late at night, alone in his quarters, he looked at the star maps. He watched the human fleet moving closer, a great wave of metal and fire and rage, and he wondered if he had made a terrible mistake. On the Indomitable, a young pilot named O Sunho sat in the hangar bay. He was 24 years old. He had joined the Navy to see the stars and have adventures. He had never expected to fight a war. In his pocket, he carried a photograph. It was a picture of his niece. She was 5 years old. She had the same smile as Yuna in the drawing, the same bright eyes, the same dreams of stars and ships and adventure. He looked at the photo for a long time. Then he put it away and walked to his fighter. He was ready to fight. He was ready to die if he had to, because somewhere out there, other children were sleeping in their beds. Other fathers were telling stories. Other mothers were singing songs, and he would make sure they stayed safe, no matter the cost. The Battle of Velith Prime began on a cold morning in space. 800 consortium warships waited in formation. They were big and powerful and ancient. Their weapons had destroyed 100 enemies over 10,000 years. Their crews were trained and confident. They believed they would win. The human fleet came out of the darkness like a storm. On the first day, Admiral Choi gave a simple order: attack. 9,000 ships moved as one. They fired their weapons. Missiles flew through space. Railguns shot metal at incredible speeds. Lasers cut through the void. Energy beams painted the darkness with light. The consortium ships fought back. They were skilled warriors. They had been doing this for centuries, but they had never faced anything like this. The humans came at them from every direction. There were too many. Far too many. By sunset on the first day, 400 consortium ships were dead. They floated in space like broken toys. Fire burned inside their hulls. Bodies drifted in the vacuum. Overseer Thrall watched from his command ship. His face was pale. His hand shook. This was not supposed to happen. Humans were supposed to be weak. Humans were supposed to lose. On the second day, the humans pushed deeper. They broke through the consortium lines. Their ships were not as good as consortium ships. They were older, smaller, less advanced. But there were so many of them. And the humans inside them did not care about dying. On the third day, something happened that no one expected. A human destroyer was badly damaged. Its engines were destroyed. Its weapons were broken. It was going to die. The pilot inside had a choice. He could try to escape. He could surrender. He could wait for rescue that would never come. Instead, he pointed his dying ship at the biggest consortium carrier. He flew straight at it. Full speed. No fear. The carrier tried to move. It was too slow. The destroyer hit it like a hammer. Both ships exploded in a ball of fire. The pilot's name was Oh Sung-ho. He was 24 years old. His last words were broadcast to everyone. I had a daughter her age. He did not have a daughter. He had a niece. But it did not matter. Every human who heard those words understood. They felt it in their hearts. They felt it in their bones. More pilots did the same thing. When their ships were dying, they aimed at the enemy. They did not run. They did not surrender. They fought until the last second. The consortium had never seen anything like this. Their soldiers feared death. Their pilots tried to survive. But these humans did not seem to care. They threw themselves at the enemy like they wanted to die. On the fourth day, the humans captured their first consortium ship. Marines boarded it with guns and knives. They fought through the hallways. They killed everyone who resisted. They took no prisoners that day. On the fifth day, the Velith sent a message. They wanted to surrender. They wanted peace. They said they were sorry. Admiral Choi read the message. He thought about it for a long time. Then he sent his reply. No. The battle continued. On the 6th day, the other consortium members began to break. The Morthic Empire sent a secret message to Earth. They wanted to leave the consortium. They wanted to surrender separately. They would do anything the humans asked. The Kithran Republic did the same. They begged for peace. They offered money, land, ships, anything. The Daloth Collective did not wait. They simply ran. Their ships turned and fled into deep space. They did not stop running for a very long time. On the 7th day, only the Velith remained. Their great fleet was broken. Half their ships were destroyed. The rest were damaged and scared. Admiral Choi offered them one chance. Surrender Overseer Thrall, the one who ordered the attack on New Bizan. Give him to us, and this ends. The Velith refused. Thrall was their leader. They would not betray him. On the 8th day, the humans showed no mercy. On the 9th day, it was over. The human fleet achieved orbit over Velith Prime. Their weapons pointed down at the planet below. Millions of Velith looked up at the sky and saw death waiting. Overseer Thrall was captured trying to escape. Human soldiers dragged him from his ship. They put him in chains. They brought him before a tribunal. Commander An Jian served as prosecutor. She was 42 years old. She had lost her nephew on New Bizan. He was 8 years old. He liked to build things with blocks and dream about being an engineer. She stood before Thrall. She did not yell. She did not threaten. She was calm and cold, like ice. She placed something on the table between them. It was Yuna's drawing. The starship. The waving girl. The crayon signature. Yuna, age 7. Explain this, she said. Thrall looked at the drawing. He looked at the human woman. He tried to think of something to say. Something that would save him. Something that would make this stop. He could not think of anything. They were just humans, he said finally. Just primitives. They did not matter. Ji-Yun nodded slowly. I see. The trial lasted 4 hours. Every crime was listed. Every death was counted. 12,000 names were read aloud. It took a long time. Thrall was found guilty. No one was surprised. The execution was simple. A gun, a bullet. 30 seconds. Admiral Choi watched it happen. He felt no joy. He felt no satisfaction. He just felt tired. The war was over. But nothing would bring back the dead. Nothing would heal the wounds. Nothing would make Yuna's drawing come to life. He looked at the stars and wondered if peace was possible. He hoped so, but he was not sure anymore. 1 year passed. The galaxy was quiet now. Very quiet. No one attacked human colonies anymore. No one threatened human ships. No one said bad things about humans in public. The other species watched humanity with new eyes. Before, they had seen humans as young and foolish, soft and weak, easy to push around. Now they saw something different. They saw what humans could become when they were angry. They saw the fire that burned inside them. They were afraid. Admiral Choi retired from the Navy. He was 64 years old now. His hair was white. His face had more lines than before. He had won the greatest battle in human history. He did not feel like a winner. He flew his small ship back to Kepler 442b, back to the world that used to be called New Bizan. He had not been there since the attack. He did not know what he would find. The amber sky was still there. It had not changed. The sweet air was starting to come back. Plants were growing again in the burned fields. Life was returning slowly, but the colony was gone. Where 12,000 people had lived and worked and loved, There was nothing but ruins and memories. In the center of what used to be the main town, a memorial had been built. It was a garden made of white stone. 12,000 pillars stood in circles, one for each person who died. Each pillar had a name carved into it. At the center of the garden stood a statue. It was made of bronze. It showed a little girl running through a field. Her arms were spread wide. Her face was lifted to the sky. She was chasing silver-winged moths. She was laughing. The statue was YUNA. Admiral Choi stood before it for a long time. He did not speak. He did not move. He just looked at the little girl who would never grow up. The little girl whose death had changed everything. Ships began to arrive. Thousands of them. People from every human world came to see the memorial. They came to remember. They came to pay respect. They came to say goodbye. Among them was Kim Yoonji, Yuna's mother. She had survived only because she was away when the attack happened. She had returned to find nothing but ashes and grief. The doctors said she should not come to the ceremony. They said it would be too hard, too painful. She came anyway. She walked through the garden slowly. She found her husband's pillar, Park Do-yeon. She touched his name with her fingers. She closed her eyes and remembered his face, his voice, his gentle hands. Then she found her daughter's pillar, Park Yuna, age 7. She stood there for a long time. No tears came. She had cried so much in the past year that she had no tears left. She just stood and remembered. The ceremony began as the amber sun set. Millions of people watched through screens across human space. Everyone was silent. Everyone was listening. Kim Yoonji walked to the stage. She stood before the microphone. She looked out at the crowd. She saw soldiers and civilians, rich and poor, old and young, all of them waiting for her to speak. That she did not have a long speech prepared. She did not need one. My daughter wanted to explore the stars, she said. Her voice was soft but clear. She wanted to fly a big ship and visit every world. She wanted to meet new friends out there in the darkness. She believed aliens would be kind. She paused. Her eyes found the statue of Yuna. She believed they would be kind because she was kind. She could not imagine anything else. She was 7 years old. She still believed the universe was good. Another pause. The silence was complete. You taught us otherwise, she said. Her voice grew harder now, colder. You taught us that the universe is not kind. You taught us what we are capable of when we have nothing left to lose. You taught us what happens when you take our children from us. She looked directly at the cameras. Her words went out to every corner of the galaxy, every species, every world. I hope you remember this lesson. I hope you remember it forever. I hope you remember her name. She stepped back from the microphone. The ceremony was over. In the year that followed, something strange happened. Human colonies grew and spread without any trouble. Human ships traveled freely. Human children played safely under alien skies. The other species left them alone. More than that, they protected them. If anyone spoke of attacking humans, others would stop them. If anyone threatened human worlds, neighbors would warn them. A new saying spread among the elder races. It was whispered in councils and shouted in taverns. It was taught to children and written in books. Do not touch their children. Do not wake the sleeping giant. Do not make humanity remember what it can become. Han Somin, the young woman who had leaked the footage, was never punished for what she did. Instead, she was given a medal. She became famous. She spent the rest of her life telling stories about what happened, making sure no one forgot. Commander An Jeon left the military. She became a teacher. She taught young people about history, about war, about peace, about the price of both. Lieutenant Kang Ji-woo stayed in the Navy. She became an admiral herself eventually. She spent her career making sure humanity never needed to fight like that again. And on Kepler 442b, the garden grew. The white stone pillars stood strong against wind and rain. The statue of Una ran forever through fields of silver-winged moths. People came to visit every year. They brought flowers. They brought letters. They brought drawings made by children who never knew her but felt like she was their friend. One day, a small girl came with her parents. She was 7 years old. She had black hair and big brown eyes. She looked at the statue and smiled. She wanted to fly to the stars, the girl said. Just like me. Her mother nodded. Yes, just like you. I will fly for both of us, the girl said. I will see everything she wanted to see. The amber sun set behind them. The stars came out one by one. Somewhere up there, among all those lights, were worlds that humans had not yet visited. Adventures that had not yet happened. Friends that had not yet been made. The dream was still alive. Una would have liked that.